a 2-story building that has Armando Circus. We're looking at the top floor of the 2-story building. The Armando Circus emblem that they put on is fresh. The building itself is actually kind of old and ratted. It looks very California, looks like something they've repainted. When you look at it, the paint is chipping off, the paint is falling all over the place. When I remember kind of circuses, the traveling when I was younger, that's kind of what you would see.
Yeah, they were kind of ratty.
You'd see like just constant paint being put on top of stuff. However, possibly being a set or a location that they're using, it looks like they just painted it for the circus. Like I at this point, I can't tell if it's an actual standing building that they just repainted to make it look like it that's older, or if it was an actual traveling circus.
I tried to look on the Ape Wikipedia whenever I was making notes about this and see if I could find anything about what circus was used or were these existing props. I didn't find anything. But again, that even smacks of that they've got some old set that was used in some old film about the circus. They put it out there and they said, you know what? It's a new sign. Throw it on there. It looks great. Nice texture.
The building they're using has a lot of ornate fixtures kind of built into the wood. So you see like these little swirls, these little patterns that are perfect to throw like a shade of blue or a shade of gold or a shade of yellow over to make it look fantastic. So whatever this building was used before, it was something exotic. So they're coming out of the top floor of the porch. It says office, and this is where we actually see our Armando for the first time.
Yeah, it only took, 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 30 seconds out of a 1 hour, 32-second movie to get to him. So
I want to ask
where
Sean,
does the minute end?
It ends with Armando, hang on.
Aren't we rude enough to each other?
Aren't we rude enough to each other?
So I want to ask Sean his reactions to Ricardo, and I let me preface that for those of you that don't know this, Sean has never seen these films. Richard and I have seen them. Sean is truly experiencing these movies for the first time, 1 minute at a time. He has clamored for Ricardo Montalban since the beginning of this because we all know that he prefers Mr. Rourke over Khan.
Yeah.
But he loves him some Ricardo Montalban. So did you know right away when it went to the circus, did you think, finally, this has got to be him? Or was it only when you heard the voice, which we all know very distinctly?
Yeah, it was when I heard the voice. I didn't know I didn't know where he was going to show up. So, yeah, okay. I was surprised when he showed up.
When he walks onto the porch, though, for an introduction of a character, Armando is in shadow.
Yeah.
It was almost, there's like this, is Armando supposed to be sinister, or is this just bad lighting? And I'm going to err on bad lighting because Dixon is seen, and it's not an intentional shadow. It's the same kind of shadow we got when we walked into the hotel room for the first time and there were just shadows being cast on the actors. It's kind of a sad or a poor introduction of a character that may or may not have meaning at this point. Like, I feel like this is supposed to be something great. If it were meant to be sinister, it would have been nice to have a couple of tights on the actor to make it look like the shadows were intentional as opposed to just a wide on a shot on the two.
So, you'll never believe this. I decided to look in a different place. For the traveling circus of Armando, the wagons and animal cages were located on a golf course just across the street from the 20th Century Fox studios.
Oh, there you go.
So, they must have hired somebody out, come in, set it up. And that would also explain why they could easily get a crane shot. You got the equipment right there. We just roll it right there over the lot, shoot over there, and then go.
Just across the street. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You can't do that in LA anymore. But
that also shows, film is such a lie when you watch it. People that get into, we've got all Martin Scorsese saying the things about true cinema. All cinema's a lie. Every bit of it. When we're constrained, because you and I could be in a conversation right now and never be on the set together.
Right.
And the biggest lie? It was simply a golf course right across the street.
So they're at the top of the porch. Armando says, "You're asking me to risk imprisonment for the sake of 2 fugitive apes." The answer is 1,000 times yes.
God, you got to love him. Nobody can say that with more conviction. And for everything that I knocked Stevie for having nothing when she went, oh, God, Ricardo just made up for every bit of it.
He puts such kind of a... his dialogue is very melodic. Like he puts a lot of...
He laughs in the face of danger.
He puts a lot of ups and downs. He puts a lot of movement in his voice that just sounds romantic, exciting. Like, this guy can deliver lines.
But, don't you think that the best actors, and it's, again, to knock Stevie, I think rightfully so. I recently did something with a friend where we kind of, on his podcast, where we tried to stump each other with famous movie quotes, and I grabbed the scene from Schindler's List, which is Liam Neeson and Ralph Fiennes talking about power. And even in that, Ralph Fiennes, when he is just talking very softly, he'll do exactly that and go up and down. I think the best actors understand that when you convey something, there's an element of tonality to it. And I think that's what with Stevie, there was nothing. It's just, oh God. Ricardo comes into this, and think if he had been there peppered throughout. He would provide life where Hasline hasn't.
Well,
Hasline, even though a good actor, he's providing this character, this breadth that we've been missing.
You mentioned Stevie specifically, and Hasline would be the next one that I'd be like pegging. It's like, dude, you got to bring something to this. I know you're supposed to be like sinister, and we're not really sure who you are, but man, you're not bringing it vocally to give me any like tones.
And especially with that beautiful deep baritone voice that he has.
Exactly. Oh. That's the only thing he's living off of right now is that voice.
Right.
So Armando says, I do it for you, I do it for Stevie, and for your two distinguished friends. And I love that Lewis Dixon says, notoriously now, to hell with notoriety. What is a husband expected to do? Stand by and see his wife insulted? God. And I'm going in my head, like, Dixon just walked up and said, I'm going to tell you the whole story. And here's how it happened. And Armando twists it in a way. Either Armando twisted Dixon's story, or Dixon painted this, can you believe what happened to my two friends, these apes? Like, think about that story that's being told. Think about what Dixon said to Armando to say, my two friends are in peril. They probably killed somebody, but they didn't. One of them is having a baby. Can you help protect them? What is the story that Dixon spins to Armando that paints them as real people that Armando is able to come out with this? Or is Dixon just matter of fact?
Right.
And Armando is such the entertainer that he makes it this big thing. To hell with notoriety. What is a husband expected to do? Stand by and see his wife insulted? God, are we rude enough to each other without having to be rude? So, stand by and see his wife insulted. No one was in the room when the orderly said monkeys.
How does he have that information?
Unless he's talking about the entire situation.
And Cornelius will still not speak to Dixon for another scene yet, to where he would explain, I didn't mean to do it. So you're absolutely right. Dixon wouldn't have that information to give to him. Wow.
Unless, again, I would say this, unless it is the monkey's insult from earlier, from moments before. Like, there's a level to which what Lewis told Armando. Now, Lewis is the first one to use some colorful language when he says, notoriously now. Right? So, Dixon painted a story, and Armando is making it circus. He's making it entertainment.
Completely within the scene, but completely off this point, and it just rung in my head. And when I watched this moment, I couldn't help asking: are Dixon and Stevie a couple, or are they just work spouses?
For you and Stevie and your two distinguished friends.
See something about you and Stevie, and I get it. If we'd had those scenes that Sean said would be great here, and we saw them working together, then they're just work partners. But that insinuation right there makes me think for you and Stevie, I don't know. Are they a couple?
I don't think they are. I think they're a work couple.
Okay. I'm cool with that because we've had nothing other than this moment to go, because I think Dixon can do better.
What about Steve?
Are you serious? I'm sorry.
Oh, she's a cutie.
Yeah.
She's a cutie.
She's
she
a
just
keeper.
has zero personality.
Oh, man.
I liked her better as Albina. I did. I thought she was like cold and calculating.
She was cold, yeah.
It was like, ooh, and I thought that's why when she's in this, I'm like, holy shit, did they cast a type in the first one? Or did she just nail that and not have the depth to nail the sweetness and the caring in this?
So let's talk about the jump. And we will talk about it probably more in the next moment.
Okay.
But let's talk about the jump. Hasline basically said, your friends have killed. Dixon departs. Dixon has now gone to a circus to ask for help. And Dr. Branton is on the run with Cornelius.
Okay.
Zira is nowhere to be found at this moment. As a viewing audience, What do you think is happening?
I assume because
Dixon has gone for help for 2 fugitive apes, and he's gone to a circus
well,
to
okay.
conceal them
So
without Zira.
wow, there is a total lack of logic in how what happens.
It's very apparent in the next moment,
Yes,
but this right now,
even in the next moment, then you begin to think, how did this all come together?
Correct.
Because Stevie has a better idea, and she told Cornelius to get down. It is implied in that moment, because he's already said she's in labor, she's over there. They're going to go. That's implied that they go to get Zira.
okay,
I think.
Okay.
I think
All right.
that she's over there. I have a better idea. Well, they're not. The better idea
better idea,
cannot
let's get Zira.
The better idea cannot be going back to the ocean and watching the sunrise. It has to be, I'm going to help you.
right.
Boy, that points out Sean's hole that they've not told about the circus before, because how does Stevie know about the circus at all without having been told before?
That's in the next minute.
It is.
That's the next minute. But right now, we have a cut scene to Armando's, and we're thinking, okay, so Stevie has figured out, I have a better idea. Cut, here's a circus.
Mhm.
All right? But we don't get Stevie and Cornelius. We get Dixon.
Armando and Dixon.
Right. Now, if Dixon had, to Sean's point, or if Armando had been seated early on as a possible thing, this makes sense. Now, there is a note in the script that mentions Lewis descending the caravan steps, behind him carrying a leather veterinarian bag. And if you're watching it, Lewis is actually carrying a veterinarian bag. And it's not apparent when you notice this moment, but you're supposed to infer that from the bag that Lewis has performed some type of services with Armando before.
Again, if they had had him in the beginning delivering the baby out there that we see in a little
correct.
bit.
Boy, that is a huge plot hole.
Just even if there had been a sign, like he comes back in and you see him checking off that he's been to the circus or checked on done a maternity test or something like that.
Even the dude with the bad Donald Trump haircut that
Yeah.
was the assistant had said something, and he could have said, just take it to Armando Circus. They're on the outskirts of town, blah, 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 blah. Anything that threw them in as a mention does not make this a problem. And but Stevie would have had to been present for that as well, for her to have the information.
There's a whole this is ideal.
Yeah.
This, like, if I were writing, like, this is genius, we're going to go to a circus, we're going to do this stuff. This is genius idea. It needed to be added early on, and the moment between this moment and the next need to actually have been played out better so that we understand why these characters are going there and what's happening.
Right.
But all we know is Dixon, so the orderly is dead. Dixon is left. He doesn't have Cornelius or Zira in his possession. He only knows that she's pregnant. He showed up at a circus for help. Branton has Cornelius, not Zira, and she has a better idea. Yet all of a sudden, Armando's willing to help 2 random apes that we don't have at this point.
Holy crap, this is a head scratcher. I'd love to say great catch, but at the same time, bad catch on them.
But we know where it's going.
We do, and
as a viewing audience, does the director and writer need to actually spell that out for us?
Yes. Now, does it play well? Because what they've done is, I have a better idea, cut to the circus. That tells me, that implies that, what I said imply like 3 times there, but that implies what Stevie's idea is. But why does she have the idea? And that's where it becomes a problem, because characters cannot just jump in logic, or we have issues with that.
I have a better idea. Cool. So now Stevie is with Cornelius at the circus without Zira. We need to see that. We need to see that moment
of picking up Zira
or something along those lines.
I don't have as much of a problem with that as much as I do. How did it so happen that Dixon's out there, and that she's the one that has the better idea, because they don't have cell phones where she could call and say,
"So the next
Dixon,
minute,
I've got Cornelius and blah blah. I can take care of it. I know where I'm going."
This is so the next minute.
It does.
It's more in the next minute as well.
It really is, but you're so absolutely right. There is this idea of how characters come together and why they are where they are without the information they both need to know where to go. That was harder to say than I thought it would be, and I got it out right.
But I like where they're going with this.
I totally love it.
This is a great idea.
It is a
this
beautiful
is what
idea.
I would do.
It
yeah.
is. Again,
Totally what I would do.
Dane's killing it.